I'm Zach.
I'm Zubayr.
Welcome to Harmony.
Welcome back.
Thank you. We are reading from the second word from Said Nursi's The Words from the collection, the Risale-i Nur. We are on the 27th page, third paragraph, which begins with, since the selfish man. Let's read it first, and then we can talk about it.
Please.
Okay, before I read, I want to remind the verse at the top that this is talking about, which is, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, those who believe in the unseen, which in Arabic is, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. So, let's read the paragraph, since the selfish man.
Me?
If you'd like to, or I can.
Since the selfish man was both conceited and self-centered and pessimistic, he ended up what seemed to him to be a most wicked country due to his pessimism. He looked around and everywhere saw the powerless and the unfortunate lamenting in the grasp of fierce and bullying tyrants, weeping at their destruction.
Sad.
Sad, yeah. He saw the same grievous, painful situation in all the places he traveled. The whole country took on the form of a house of mourning. Apart from becoming drunk, he could find no way of not noticing this grievous and somber situation. For everyone seemed to him to be an enemy and foreign. And all around he saw horrible corpses and despairing, weeping orphans. His conscience was in a state of torment.
Yes.
Wow, it's desperate situation, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like him.
You don't want to be like him, but we have two options, to be like him or not to be like him.
Since the selfish man, if I become selfish,
I'm going to be
in fire.
Since the selfish man, look. Since the selfish man was both conceited, self-centered and pessimistic, he ended up in what seemed to him to be a bad place. His selfishness results in him being conceited.
First.
Which then leads him to be self-centered, and that then leads him to be pessimistic.
Yeah, it's kind of progressive or cause and effect thing.
What the word conceited, which is the first one, the selfish man was both conceited.
Hodgam. He worries about himself. Because
conceited means more arrogant.
Yeah.
Hodgam means what exactly? Hod means self.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gam means he worries or he places himself around himself.
So his whole idea, everything is self-centered.
Kind of self-centered, yeah. He shapes everything, every result or every comprehension according to his understanding or himself.
So his thoughts revolve around himself.
That's the perfect definition.
Okay, so
say that again.
His thoughts revolve around himself.
Perfect, yes.
That's what the word, he's first
step.
And that leads him to be the next one. I want to use the Turkish words because there could be confused in the English.
Hodendish.
Which means?
He worries about himself.
So his thoughts revolve around himself, which lead him to worry about himself. And all of his worries revolve around himself.
Yeah.
So self-centered has that meaning too. Okay, so so that works. And then because of that, he is
bedbin. That means he sees bad.
He sees everything bad. Pessimistic. Okay.
Pessimistic.
So
yes.
he is pessimistic. He sees everything bad because he is thinking only about himself, which leads him to worry only about himself, which then he's always worrying.
Yeah.
He's pessimistic. Because of that, he ended up in what seemed to him, this is important, what seemed to him to be a most wicked country due to his pessimism. His pessimism made him feel that the place he was in, which might not necessarily be the truth, might be it makes it seem to him as a bad place.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that this is about perspective.
He interprets everything. He has to interpret everything, right? He has to interpret everything to make a meaning out of it. And he does this self-centrically, so the result, the understanding he achieved is bad.
Okay, so he's interpreted everything negatively,
yeah,
and he's actually imposing his meaning. There's one possible meaning here. It is this.
This is bad.
So it's though from a more objective point of view, we can say he's interpreting negatively. From his own point of view, he's actually imposing his own meaning. He's not interpreting. We see him as interpreting because we're looking at it from farther out. But from his own perspective, he's not interpreting. He is actually authoring this meaning.
Yeah.
As we said in the previous video.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, so because of that, because he's authoring it, because he's looking at everything from himself, no matter what, it's going to be negative.
Can I ask why? Why he's interpreting negative, or are we going to discuss?
I think ask why, and then
why.
We'll continue reading, and I think the answer will become clear from there.
Okay, I'm going to ask. He is judging everything according to himself, and he comes up with negative results. Why?
Okay.
Let's put the question here and read on.
Okay. So yes, so he looked around, and everywhere saw the powerless and unfortunate lamenting in the grasp of fearsome, bullying tyrants, weeping at their destruction. So he sees them being forced to do a bunch of things that they don't want to do.
Yep.
And they are going into destruction.
Yeah.
So your question was, why does he see this? Good question.
Yeah. Why does he come up with that result?
Remember, he is
Self-centered.
Because he is selfish. The answer is since he is selfish, this happens.
Not
Why?
necessarily, yeah.
Well, because he's selfish, he doesn't accept an outside source. He doesn't see through the light of the unseen.
Maybe he's powerless. He's poor. That's why he cannot stand against anything else.
Well, that's his reality. He realizes that he is powerless and poor. He knows that's the reality.
And since he interprets everything according to his reality, then everything fails. Everything is an enemy for him.
Everything is also, no, he sees that first, that's the conclusion. First, he sees them as powerless and poor.
Like himself?
Just like himself, so he's going to impose his understanding on others. So he sees the powerless. He looked around and everywhere saw the powerless and the unfortunate. That's his projection of his inner self.
Yep.
He's projecting it on them. And so, when they die, he realizes he's going to die. When he sees their destruction, this is my result. This is what will happen to me eventually. Or this is what's happening to me right now. He's projecting himself on them.
Yeah, that's the perfect explanation. He's just reflecting himself on the others, so he sees himself on everywhere, on everything.
He is imposing his meaning. Remember last video we talked about, he is not a reader, he is not an interpreter, he is an author and an imposer.
I am weak, they are all weak too. I'm powerless, they are all powerless too.
And
blah, blah, blah.
When he sees them, they're only reminding him of his powerlessness.
Painfully.
Exactly. Okay, so that's what's going to happen if one is selfish, because one's reality is poverty and impotence.
He saw the same grievous, painful situation in all places he traveled.
There you go.
Not bad, not good.
Yes, so he sees this, and then the whole country took on the form of a house of mourning. He's mourning. He's
the one who mourns.
He's actually the one who's mourning, and he's seeing them as mourning.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how we're seeing this. This seems to him to be like this, because he himself is like this. And so in this situation, this reality, this selfish reality that one has authored for himself,
Actually,
the only solution is to become drunk.
He needs to kill the mechanism that makes him think.
Exactly. Now, when we talk about drunk here, it doesn't necessarily mean alcohol. It does mean that.
It includes.
It includes, because when somebody drinks, why are they drinking when we ask them?
He cancels the ability to think.
Yeah, I want to forget is what he'll say.
Well, yeah.
He says that he wants to forget his problems.
You might do it in joy.
Because when you forget your problems, remember we talked about this at the beginning, we are here for pleasure or business, and he has a load that he wants to get rid of. So he's getting rid of these problems in his mind by drinking.
Yeah.
So the drinking of alcohol does fit into this perfectly.
Yes.
Because in his mind he feels that he's making some sort of a trade.
Yeah.
But in reality, we know what happened if one uses this means to
get rid of problems,
then they come back even worse. So, so we look at this. The drunkenness.
We can use the workaholic too.
Okay, good. So drunkenness can be, yes, one works. One says, like we said in the previous video, you're working so that you can get some money to provide for your children or for whatever, to get a better life. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's really just to forget about the problems one has at home and what problems one has in his life.
Yeah.
When we really get into it, why is somebody a workaholic?
Being workaholic is, or working excessively is not any different than having a lot of excessive joy.
Exactly.
Not different. It just continues throughout your life.
So yes. So that's the only solution that he can find, is getting drunk, however one means it. And so there you go.
For everyone seemed to him to be an enemy and foreign.
Yes, that's the result. Let's not go into there now. I mean, the time has finished. So let's continue where we'll continue with that in the next video.
Okay.
So drunkenness was the only solution. That's all we have to do. That's all he can do.
Stop here.
And stop here.
See you next time.
Thank you very much. See you next time.